pressure looks good.
Toggling up. Roger, roll with planet. Flight downside of speed off.
Yikes. You bet. Okay. We don't need any more of these.
All right, folks, you know the drill. It's another NASA spaceflight live stream. Let me know if you can hear me, and let me know if you can see what, at first glance, seems to be a foggy day wherever this is. Oh, man, it's on the overlay. Give me a 5x5. Let me know that you can hear and see us, but this is something we have been chasing down for a while. We are awaiting the arrival of the SpaceX offshore platform Phobos at this no longer undisclosed location, I guess, because it's right there on the screen. We will be bringing you some live commentary here, talking about this. Everybody who was looking at some of the vessel traffic websites and stuff like that had a little bit outdated information, but we have the NASA spaceflight team here ready to let you see some of the first views of this offshore platform coming into Pascagoula, Mississippi. This is the port of Pascagoula. Over here, I'm John Galloway with NASA Spaceflight. You know my voice, and we've got a cast of thousands to commentate here today, starting with our person out there in the field. I know that we've got Brady Kenniston. Brady, if we've got you on comms, thank you so much for rolling out there and literally staking out the port to bring us these views. We got you on audio?
Absolutely, my pleasure, Dust.
All right. Is it just super foggy out there, or is it looking like it's going to clear up?
It should clear up. There was fog kind of rolling through the port right here, but I think it's all rolled past me, and it should be pretty clear once it gets just a little bit closer.
And y'all, you can see on the screen right there, Brady has set this up perfectly. Offshore platform Phobos is coming into view on the right-hand side. So if you want to see some fantastic photos, follow Brady on Twitter at @TheFavoritist. One of the mods, get that link into chat for us if you could, because Brady's been posting some fantastic photographs of his time out there. Look at that. That's cool. Go check his Twitter out. It's cool. Also here, I'm going to run through this really quickly. We have a special guest with us, one of the resident fleet experts. Gav, do I got you on comms?
You do. Hello.
Hello. So, purveyor of SpaceXfleet.com. I got the web name. I got it right, didn't I?
You did.
SpaceXfleet.com and at SpaceXfleet on Twitter. Gav has been helping us out with some fleet cam operations, and figured this was sort of fleet related. Gav, thank you so much for hopping in here today.
Absolutely. I am incredibly excited to see this come through. This looks amazing.
It looks otherworldly. I mean, it looks like something straight out of a sci-fi movie. So, Gav, thank you so much for hopping in. I'm going to speed run the rest of the list here. I know we got Thomas on the line. Thomas, say hi so people can hear you.
Hello, everybody.
Alrighty, I know Michael Baylor back in the studio helping out a lot with this stuff. Michael, we got you unmuted.
How's it going, everyone?
That's Michael Baylor, and I think Jack's here as well.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, what's up? Hey, Jack. And it looks like we got Chris G in too. So, Chris G, I don't know if we've got you on comms or you're just listening into the chatter, but I see you in the back channel there. Just hop in and say hi if we got you. But we have a bunch of very excited NASA spaceflight folks here standing by to talk about this rig. So, I want to say really quickly, we've been sort of waiting for this for a while, and it was originally supposed to happen yesterday, if you remember my comments, and then it looks like it held offshore for a while. It's still miles away. Brady's got a super long lens out there, and it is going to come closer and closer and closer to the camera. So we got a while here. I think our last calculation was about an hour before it passes close to the camera. Gav, was that our best estimate? We said 90 minutes about 30 minutes ago. Where are we looking there?
I think closest approach to the camera will be in about 40 minutes.
In about 40 minutes. All right. So it is going to continue to get closer and closer. That fog is going to continue burning off, but we wanted to share this because this is almost like an unveiling this morning of this offshore platform picked up by SpaceX for supporting Starship operations. So I know we need to do a little bit of background here and talk about what exactly is going on. So I want to turn it over to Michael really
Dolphins, look at
quickly.
that. There's dolphins.
I was
Sorry,
gonna
Are
say
there
right.
there's some
dolphins?
dolphins up front. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. That's pretty. Even the dolphins want to stop in. Michael, I wanted to turn it over to you really quickly and just give us the story on tracking these things. We've been pulling all sorts of public record information together, and this thing was renamed to this and potentially acquired here. Like fill us in on what we were sort of following here, if you could.
So if you saw a couple days ago, Jack posted a picture of what we had a pretty high confidence with the SpaceX rig, because if you've been tracking their job listings, there's been a lot of job postings for work on offshore platforms in the Brownsville area. And there's really only one oil rig in the Brownsville area that seems to be a good candidate just based on its size and whatnot. So we had a pretty good feeling it was the right one. And then Jack posted a photo, and I looked into some records on the government website about the ship, and we figured out it had just been renamed Deimos. This is the one in Brownsville. And Jack also spotted the Deimos sign on it, and that's one of Mars's 2 moons. And the other moon of Mars is called Phobos. So if there's a Deimos, there's probably a Phobos. And what do you know? There is also a Phobos in the records for a rig that recently had its name changed. And both rigs are owned by Lone Star Minerals Development LLC, which one user identified that the only person listed on that LLC is the CFO of SpaceX, and that LLC also has recently acquired the oil gas well lot next to SpaceX's Boca Chica launch site. So the LLC is definitely SpaceX. We know SpaceX has acquired these rigs, and then we knew that Deimos was in Brownsville. So the next logical thing was to find out where Phobos was. And all the latest information on Phobos says it's in Galveston, Texas, but the rig had its transponders turned off for quite a while. So that information was quite outdated. So we looked on satellite imagery to make sure. And what do you know? On Sunday, Phobos was gone. So we knew Phobos had just left Galveston, Texas. We looked through all of the marinetraffic.com departures lists to find out which tug could possibly have moved it. And in my research on Deimos, I knew that Signet Warhorse 1 had pulled Deimos before, and that was the same tug on the departures list for Galveston on Sunday. So that was a very obvious candidate. I spotted that right away. And if you looked at the tug's marine traffic page, it said it had reduced maneuverability, which obviously was a good sign it was towing something large.
Right.
So that was a good indicator. It said its location was Pascagoula, Mississippi, and then I went to the Pascagoula, Mississippi arrivals. On their website they have a schedule, and I will show it quickly if I can find. There we go. On the website they had a schedule, and at the very bottom it says Phobos. So that was the firm confirmation that we needed to determine that Phobos is in fact arriving in Mississippi this morning.
Excellent. And you said Signet or Signet Warhorse in there. Signet is a company that operates ships, and this isn't the first work they've done for SpaceX. You said that they actually had moved Deimos around with one of their Signet tugs. Gav, is there more information on that? Like, could you give us a quick rundown of Signet ships that have done things for SpaceX?
Yeah, so Signet Maritime is a pretty large towing company. One of their ships has previously done SpaceX work in the past. Signet Warhorse 3, which is not the ship that's towing today, towed Of Course I Still Love You drone ship for the PSN-6 mission, February 2019. So keen to keep an eye on tugboats. Once a tugboat does work for SpaceX, generally we keep an eye on them because they might be doing interesting things in the future. That has proven totally correct today, because here we are watching this amazing thing come in here.
Again, y'all, this is going to, Brady is set up so that this is going to come closer and closer to the camera. We're getting less and less fog or mist between us and the rig. We are really, really hoping that this one has a sign on it. If you've seen Jack's photos of Deimos down in Brownsville, we saw that big, I don't know that it's stainless steel or not, but the big shiny sign on the side of it on the railing that says Deimos really big. We don't know if this has something that says Phobos or not yet. Also, down there at Brownsville, Deimos has the lifeboats have been repainted with Deimos, the name of the vessel, or I guess the name of the platform on them as well. Not sure if we're going to see that. We also know that we won't see this because down there at Brownsville, Deimos has the what's the thing the helicopter lands on? Helipad. That's what it called.
Yeah.
I worked it out myself. It says Deimos on that, and we are not going to see that because we are not in a helicopter right now. So
But-
Still, though, the Deimos sign is on Deimos in at least 2 places, and like you said, plus the lifeboats. And I'm not a maritime expert. Maybe this is a good question for Gavin, but if they change the name of a vessel officially, it would follow that they would need to, in some way, denote what vessel it is with a nameplate of some kind, whether that's changing the lifeboats or putting an actual sign on it or what. But hopefully, we don't know, maybe it'll have a sign on it. That'd be really cool.
Yeah,
know,
and to be clear, we don't need like the sign on to say Phobos to confirm that this is Phobos. The port schedule confirms that this is Phobos. We've already know that. It's just a matter of whether they've got the name on the actual vessel yet. It's just
Right.
a matter of whether they've got.
That's the icing on the cake, right? Is if there's a sign on it.
Yep.
Right.
Look at that. You can see a tug off on the side there, and you can start to make out the tug that's towing it.
Yeah, a little
Look at how
bit.
tiny that looks.
Great
This
work,
is a
Brady.
lot different than watching a drone ship come into Port Canaveral.
Yeah.
A lot different.
So, Gavin, up in the lower left of the rig, you see those big pilings that the rig sits on. Those float actually, or the rig floats. But that's Signet Warhorse. That's like a big tug that can pull these things around, right? That's not a little teeny tiny port tug like we see at Port Canaveral.
No, that tug at the very front there, that has towed it all the way across the Gulf of Mexico from Galveston, all by itself. And
Is it so? Is it
look up some more-
comparable to the ocean tugs that take the drone ships all the way out to the ocean, or is it even bigger than those?
It is comparable to the tugs that take the 2 SpaceX drone ships out in the Atlantic Ocean. It is comparable. But when you think about how small this tugboat at the very front is, and then look how enormous the
Right.
thing behind it's towing, they may be small, but tugboats have a serious amount of power.
Wow.
Yeah, I forget where I read it, but somebody was saying that the Signet Warhorse is like one of the most powerful tugs in the Gulf of Mexico. So if you're going to tug something big, it might be one of those Signet family tugs.
Signet Warhorse 1 has a total effective horsepower of 12,500.
Woo!
Oof.
That's a lot of horsepower.
Look at this. I mean, the more details that keep popping out as it gets closer and closer. We keep reframing the camera and stuff. It's a really long lens. I know like it's a... Brady, how big was the lens? Then we got the crop and all that sort of stuff. That's not really my bailiwick.
It's a 150 to 600, and then a 1.5x crop for the camera, and then another 1.5x crop for the camera setting.
So that means we can
So-
zoom in a lot, right?
Yeah, a lot.
So you're effectively at a focal. Oh my God, I'm blanking. You're
I
about
think it's like
1200 millimeters, right?
Yeah, something like that, I think.
Field,
why I just
field
went
of
with
view,
a lot.
not focal length. Field of view. But one thing I'm noticing right off the bat, since these are our first views of Phobos, and thank you again, Brady, for being out there and snagging this. This is amazing, and what a beautiful shot. So
Yeah.
right off the bat, I'm noticing that it does not appear to be heavily modified compared to Deimos. It looks basically the same as Deimos, at least with the views that we have right now. So, I mean, I was partially wondering, maybe Phobos is further along in the refitting process to become a spaceport than Deimos. It looks like, from this initial picture that we're getting, that they're basically in the same state. They're both appear to both still be oil rigs, functionally and with the structures on them and whatnot.
Yeah. I think that's a good point, Jack. We don't know exactly all the modifications that are going to be made, right? We know that they're SpaceX's. We know that they have something to do with Starship, but are they going to put? Are they going to clear the deck off and make like an empty deck? Are they going to make a hole in the middle and use that as a flame trench, like an ocean-wide flame trench or something?
There is a hole already. It's called a moon pool,
Aha!
and it's
Like-
wide enough to fit a Starship.
Really
Yep.
interesting. So
But
we don't know
to-
exactly what they're doing, right?
Yeah, to your point, we do not know exactly what they're doing. I find it really interesting because that was one of my questions, sort of, before we got eyes on Phobos this morning. But thank you again, Brady. Is that if Phobos would look the same, or if Phobos was like already heavily modified, and it does not appear to have been modified in any way so far. At least not that we can see yet. And like you said, Das, it'll be getting closer and closer and closer to Brady. So maybe we'll notice some things as it gets closer. But interesting data point.
Yeah, and it'll be going to the side here as well, so we're going to get a side shot of it as it passes Brady. Brady's way out on a pier, at the very end of a pier, and has been out there staking this spot out for the last 2 days. Hopefully we get a really cool side shot with the escort tugs and Warhorse up in the front. Gav, is there another tug on the far side? Was it 2 tugs and Warhorse, or was it just Warhorse and the 1 tug we see?
There are 2 tugboats following behind. They're also Signet tugboats. They are Signet Resilience and Signet Challenger. They are smaller tugboats. I had a quick look at them earlier. They're harbour assist tugs. They don't generally do any sort of open ocean towing where they would tow something this big, or like the SpaceX drone ships.
Right.
They generally stay near the coast and they sort of help maneuver these massive objects around ports.
Yeah.
So those are the smaller tugs that we see in Port Canaveral when they return, but not the ones that do the actual towing, correct?
Exactly.
Look at
And-
that thing.
And Phobos is
How much?
formally. Go ahead, Jack.
Oh, yeah.
Brady.
Just gonna ask Das, how much foot room do I need for the overlay? Is that good?
You're
Uh,
good right now.
You
You're
get half
perfect.
what you've got.
More
Like,
headroom? Okay.
yeah.
I'm gonna do that right now.
Yep, you've got about double what we need for the overlay right now, so. I think, Michael, correct me if I'm wrong, but that seems to be a flag on the tower there. Get this dialed in just a second.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, I'm actually going to Google the flag that it previously flew
It's-
under or sailed
Oh, I
under.
have it right here. I don't think it's a flag though, is it? It's hard to tell.
Nope.
Yeah,
Are you talking
that's
about
not
that
a flag.
that bit on the angled portion near the top on the right of
Right.
the derrick? That's
Yeah,
not
what
a
is
flag.
that?
Sorry, I'm covering it up, but it's Liberia on the bottom left next to Phobos. You can see the flag right there.
Yeah.
Liberia.
It looks, I mean, I'm looking at that and it looks really close to a Liberian flag on that upper top of the derrick, but it might just be pipes or something like that too. I don't know, we'll just have to wait till it gets closer and we'll see.
Think it's
Demos-
a flag?
Yeah, I don't
Demos
think it
has the
enough
same thing.
stripes. It's like pipes or something, Jack?
I think so. Demos has the same thing, and it's not a flag. I don't think.
Gotcha. I was trying to give us an excuse to talk about, you know.
Yeah.
It
These rigs-
previously worked.
These rigs should be similar because Phobos is ENSCO 8501 formerly. That was its oil rig name. And then Deimos is ENSCO 8500. So they are identical twins pretty much. I think there's 3 or 4 or 5 of these rigs. SpaceX bought 2 of them. And that company went bankrupt. So SpaceX got Deimos and Phobos for $3.5 million each, which is, I mean, I'm not an expert on oil rigs, but given the size of that thing, that seems like kind of a sweet deal.
I
Yeah.
think an oil rig of this type would cost between like $200 million and $600 million new. So
Yeah.
they got it for like a 99% discount. It's insane.
Yeah, from the public paperwork, whenever they first built ENSCO 8501 and 8502, the price for each was north of $300 million. It was like in the 300 to 400 million range per rig. And that company, Valaris, was going bankrupt, clearing up a bunch of debt, and they were selling off these old assets. And old assets, I mean, this one is back, I think it was built in 2000, like early 2000s,
2008. It's actually not that old.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why the company went bankrupt. I mean, I'm not an expert on how much money an oil rig is supposed to make and how long an oil rig is supposed to last for. That might be good questions for some experts in the industry. But, I mean, the company went bankrupt, so presumably they were in some kind of financial difficulty due to their business.
Yeah. I can tell you, I actually did some contract work on data links from shore to the oil rigs, or from satellites down to oil rigs years ago. And it is big. It's a big deal when the oil rig is offline, even for an hour. I mean, they are pumping out millions of dollars per day in production, and if you're down for 1 hour, you're losing millions of dollars if your equipment's not online. So I was moving data to and from the oil rig. I was actually helping them with safety training data, getting it onto the rig so that the people on the rig could be up to date on the latest safety stuff. But it is a big deal when the rig is offline. So for a company to decide that it was time to sort of cut bait on some of the rigs, I guess, it is a big deal for them. But again, y'all, this is coming up. This is the Phobos offshore platform. This is one of the platforms acquired by SpaceX for a song, and it is coming into the port of Pascagoula, Mississippi. Brady rolled out there. We actually used the information we had and got Brady on a plane. Thought it was coming in yesterday, and then some weather conditions and other ship traffic, I think, delayed it a little bit. But here it is coming in this afternoon. It's 1:15 Central Standard Time there in Mississippi. I got to do this really quick. We got a bunch of super chats that have been coming in, and we're able to get Brady out there because of the super chats. So let me run through some of the super chats real quick, and then we can see if we can hit some questions. Philip Whitehouse, thank you for the £5. It says, new stream, new location, same fog. We have been dealing with the fog down there at Boca Chica, South Padre the last couple of days. But hopefully this is getting closer. It's clearing up, and it honestly sort of helps us with the aesthetic a little bit, I think. We appreciate the £5 there, Philip. Also from Drom saying hello there. We appreciate the support. We got to pay for Brady's rental cars and hotel rooms somehow, so we appreciate the super chats there. Rough Rider Show, thank you so much. Question on this one: how long do you think it'll take to convert the oil rig for Starship? Wow, does anybody even want to make a guess on that? I mean, they just acquired them in the fall.
8 months.
What, 8 months? Really, Jack?
8 months. Yep.
Just get up there, start welding. Get that grinder going.
I mean,
You
to
said
be
yes.
all right, well, to talk about this a little bit, so this is in addition to launch and landing sites that SpaceX has on land at Boca Chica, and then also developing one at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. And it is safe to say that the first test flights will still be happening from Boca Chica. So the demand for these rigs are more for down the line when they move into more operations where they need a higher launch cadence and multiple launch sites / landing sites. So there's not a very urgent need to have these ready like now, so it could take over a year or so.
Yeah, I mean, again, we don't even know what changes they're going to make. I imagine at
Right.
some point they're going to paint it like an Oreo. It's all black and white SpaceX schema, right? But we don't know exactly what they're going to do to get it ready. So a little bit hard to guess. We actually don't even know exactly what they're going to use it for.
Right.
We've got some ideas.
We just know
on-
it's Starship operations.
Exactly. So let me grab a couple more super chats here.
And while you're
Go
doing
ahead.
that, Das, I've found a photo of mine of Deimos that shows those, whatever those are, up on the top of the derrick a little bit better. I threw it in Control Center if that's useful to you, if you feel like showing.
All right. Michael, if we want to bring in that shot of Deimos, or Jack, could you also grab us the sign on Deimos? Maybe the link to that tweet or something like
Yep.
that?
Yep, absolutely.
The link on our control center, Jack, and I'll take a look.
Yeah, perfect. And I'll just say it out loud. Brady, I think that was the issue. Y'all saw we had a little bit of, it was sort of waggling back and forth. We see that sometimes in scenes that have very slow motion like this. It's like an E-stability setting, trying to keep the picture centered, and it keeps adjusting back and forth like that. We've seen it with venting at Boca Chica, and now it looks nice and stable. Brady, it looks fantastic. I think that was the E-stability setting that was sort of fighting the very slow motion, thinking it wasn't supposed to be moving. Drom, thank you again. This is about sea shanties. Anybody can get like a NASA spaceflight sea shanty going or something? In Moldy Space Industry sneaking through there as well with the $5 saying, oh geez, really? Hashtag Thomas Fog Crab. This is like the worst game of telephone.
I love it.
We need every NASA spaceflight meme will show up in every live stream at this point. I think it's just what we're going with.
Every live stream makes more memes. And what
we
is
need
that?
We need a Brady travel club.
A Brady travel
I'm
club.
down for
Nice.
that. That sounds great to me.
More super chats, more Brady going to crazy places.
Sounds great. Let's do it.
Brady, what is that?
The little thing on the side.
Is that like a? No, there's something approaching from the right-hand side. What?
Yeah, it's.
Oh.
I think it's a different tug.
Yeah, it's a cute
I
little tiny tug. It's got a little barge on the front.
Yeah, yeah. At first, it gave the optical. I thought it was a buoy and a little piece of land or something, and I'm like, wait, is the rig going backwards? But that's somebody's racing the rig into the port, I guess, huh?
I think they'll win.
Yeah, that's one of those little wacky tugs that's just like a barge with a little tower on it and a bunch of big motors on it. So let me keep on running the super chats here. Thank you, Multi-Space Industries, name we see quite a bit. Josh A20, here's a good one for the class. How do you know these are SpaceX rigs? I've seen lots of pictures, but nothing that confirms. Well, you should be following Michael on Twitter. Josh, keep up the great work, guys. Michael, again, what is it that we have that confirms that these are the SpaceX rigs? Like, explain to us the chain of custody or paperwork or whatever.
So long story short, the LLC that these rigs are registered under first of all, it was created in June, which was right before SpaceX purchased the rigs. And second of all, it is the only person listed on the LLC is the CEO of SpaceX, and the LLC
CFO of
has no,
SpaceX.
oh, sorry, not Elon.
Elon did not.
CFO.
Yeah.
Yeah, the CFO of SpaceX. So, and if you like Google the LLC's name, there's no other record or purpose, and they also are the same LLC that just acquired the oil gas well lot in Boca Chica. So SpaceX is confirmed to be building on that lot. So that right there is further confirmation that this company is related to SpaceX. The company is called Lone Star Mineral Development LLC, such as a shell company that SpaceX set up to facilitate these transactions. But anyway, Phobos and Deimos are both registered under this LLC, and Phobos is the one you're seeing right now arrive in Mississippi.
Yeah,
Also, isn't Lone Star a character from Spaceballs?
yes.
Yeah, so it
Yeah,
could be.
so another connection.
I mean, it could just be Texas, but
It also
SpaceX,
could just be Texas, but
SpaceX is usually clever in their LLC or shell company names. If you have been following the Starlink development, SpaceX has to get regulatory approval in all of the foreign companies they want to operate in, and some satellite analysis were wondering how SpaceX is going to be getting approval when all the other constellations were getting approvals and whatnot, and SpaceX was nowhere to be found. And then it turned out that a company called T-Bro, which is orbit backwards, turned out to be SpaceX. So SpaceX has already been preparing to get approval for Starlink in a variety of countries, but they were doing that under the T-Bro name to stay secretive.
Wow. All right. So again, y'all, there's a big paper trail that sort of leads these things. There was some speculation. I remember a while ago we had Jack taking some pictures, and we saw that Deimos sign appear on the side of the rig, and all of a sudden, frantic Googling, it's like, Deimos, wait, that's from Doom. Isn't that where they practiced teleport, or they were experimenting on teleportation or something? And of course, also knowing that's a moon of Phobos, it's like, does that have a SpaceX tie-in? What's going on here? And you keep doing the digging, and eventually you find the paper trail that shows us that, yes, in fact, these are rigs that have been acquired by a company that is owned by, or that is run by somebody who's in charge of SpaceX, et cetera, et cetera. And we know that Elon has said that they're working on these offshore platforms for Starship operations. So again, that's what we're doing here. This is live from the port of Pascagoula. Brady Kenniston, one of our photographers in his first live stream. This is the first time we've had the live camera off of Brady's rig here, rolled out there to bring this in. And we're able to do this because of y'all's support. I see the super chats keep on popping over into the queue. That helps us pay for flights and honestly flight extensions when it takes like a day longer than we thought, because that was a thing. Brady's supposed to be going to the airport right now, so we appreciate y'all.
I think we tallied it up. I was gonna say, I think we tallied it up, and it was something like $500 so far, or in total, it's gonna be for this single stream, not including equipment. So
Yeah.
Definitely your super chats what make it possible. You don't see any other media outlets out here doing this, so
Did
we
we just get,
appreciate your
like,
support.
a super enhance?
Yeah,
Looks like
Brady
it,
off
yeah.
the Zoom
Sorry.
right then.
Sorry, I was trying to see if that would not be on the stream or not, and apparently
No.
it was.
It was on the stream and it was fantastic because we were
Oh.
starting to try to look for names.
Do you want to try to?
Yeah,
find
go
one?
back, go back.
I gotta do a
Enhance.
battery.
Really
Eight,
quick,
eight.
this is what we're looking for. This is on Jack's screenshot, or Jack's image he got of Demos. That's what we're looking for.
Yeah, so look on the railings that are around the bottom there. Again, we don't know if it's been applied to this rig or not, but look on those railings for letters spelling out exactly which moon of Mars this is named after.
Also, Brady's getting a bunch of really good still photos on his Twitter. If you check him out, his handle is @thefavoritist, and he's got some amazing photos of the rig already up there.
Yeah, I've been spamming those links into chat. If you want to see some of these fantastic still photos, there are those links again if you want to check it out. I'm going to put them over here as well. What's up, Twitch? How's it going? So
And yeah, so this is in Pascagoula, Mississippi, excuse me, which is not Pensacola, Florida, which is where the Blue Origin recovery ship is currently being worked on. I had some people in chat saying, oh, this is the same place the Blue Origin ship is. It's not. Two different places that have similar names.
Yeah, I keep accidentally saying
Yeah.
Pensacola, but it's Pascagoula, which is actually, Brady, it's not far from Stennis, where they are doing the hot fire for SLS, right? You were there last week.
Yeah, funny story. I flew out of the same airport that I flew into for this one like 2 days before I flew back to come to this. So I should have just stayed 2 more days, but the timing didn't really work out.
Yeah. If only we had known.
Talking
Yeah,
about
exactly.
the test stand, this thing almost looks like a test stand.
Right.
You know? The big structure and stuff. It looks like you could slap a rocket on that thing almost as is, especially like you were saying, Jack, if it's got that hole in the bottom. I think the moon pool is normally like where you raise and lower equipment sheltered from the outside a little bit, right? But also it has to have holes for drilling equipment because the purpose of this thing is to basically run pipe down to the ocean floor and drill for resources. It used to be its thing. It's, what did we say the other day? It's sort of like it's not really a sword. It's a plowshare, but it's a plowshare that's being converted into a fancier, more friendly, cleaner plowshare or something like that. The oil
Poison to plowshares.
poison to plowshare. There you go, poison to plowshares.
I think I
don't know
found
if I'd
Phobos.
call an oil rig a plowshare, but you do you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, because it's I don't know, because it's normally swords to plowshares, right? I don't know if I'm okay calling it a sword either, but let's see.
I might have
here.
found Phobos. Let's see.
Are
There's not
those-
my photo.
Are those the? Yeah, those are the lifeboats. So that could be one place that has the name.
Wait.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Wait,
Oh, yeah, there it is.
Look!
Hey,
Is that for real, or is that that has to
It
be
says
Phobos?
Yep,
That
that's
definitely
Phobos.
says Phobos.
wow.
That's it, Brady. Good job, dude.
Nice.
See if I can actually zoom straight in on that.
Well, we're not a scam at least.
Yeah. Okay,
If you needed any more confirmation, there it is.
we're looking at the right rig. Thank goodness.
That would be awkward if it was a different rig coming in. But
It's like
ENSCO 87.
what? We'll get that one
Sorry.
more time. It moves fast at that range, but
Sorry for the shake real
yeah,
quick.
it's
No,
that
that's
black
okay.
rectangle kind of on the left of the frame once Brady gets it stabilized.
Right there.
Very
Yeah.
clearly says Phobos. There you
stand
go.
by. Brady
Oh,
knows.
wow.
Oh, there's
somebody
people
on
on it. Yo, what's up? There's some people hanging out.
Wow.
That is the
Humans
money
for
shot
scale.
Right there.
Okay, that's cool. I mean, I don't think we can quite see the lifeboats yet, but they labeled the lifeboats shortly after labeling the the railing. I think from Jack's photos of Demos over there at Brownsville.
It would make sense if you officially rename the boats, which they have, that you have to kind of change the names on it pretty quickly.
Right. Like a regular, it's like changing the license plate on your car, right?
Right.
You
Yep.
re-register your car, you got to change the license plate out. You don't drive around for 6 months with somebody else's plates on it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, Gav, if I'm being a complete idiot on that, I imagine that's an important thing for ships, you know?
Yeah, no, that'll be a Coast Guard regulation, I'm sure,
Yeah.
to name your things accordingly.
Das. So we're gonna be getting into the port really quickly. I'm gonna
Okay.
do a battery swap if that's cool with you.
All right, I am ready, Brady. You are clear to do a battery swap. And just really quickly, y'all, I'm going to go to one of Brady's photos that he took earlier. This one was over on Twitter earlier this morning when it was coming out of the, I guess earlier this afternoon when it was coming out of the fog. Brady, just confirm when you're back online and I'll pull that feed again.
Will do.
Okay, but we
Brady's
are
having to compete with Mary's old pit stops.
Yeah.
We used to time Mary and see how fast Mary could go. Back in the day
Quickly
when
make
Mary
the,
did not have the equipment for a...
That should be back up.
All right, it's going to take it just, I see the signal and I'm going to pull the feed again.
That was pretty good.
Yeah,
Ah,
the first
got that
battery swap,
NASCAR
that was
thing.
NASCAR speed.
You know, well, Brady has done some stuff with Rocket Lab, so he's familiar with battery hot swaps.
It's
Speaking
true.
of Rocket Lab, by the way, you
Oh,
should
yeah.
tune into NSF Live tomorrow. Speaking of cool live streams we're doing.
That's true. Thomas, what's going on tomorrow? Why would anybody care?
Yeah, tomorrow afternoon's episode of NSF Live, same time as normal, 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern tomorrow. But myself and Das will be talking to the CEO and founder of Rocket Lab, Mr. Peter Beck. So if you want to come do some live question and answer with him, we'll be taking questions from chat and stuff too. So please hang around if you like cool spaceflight stuff. That's what we do on the channel, and we're doing more tomorrow.
Absolutely. If y'all know Electron Rocket Lab, the supervillain launch platform on the cliffs out there in New Zealand, the smallsat launch company, that is a really cool guest. I think that's one of our first big guests to actually.
Yeah,
have
that's the
on.
first time we've had like a big industry guest on NSF Live, which we're trying to get a bunch of like this coming year. So
Yeah.
Peter Beck is a very cool one to have as our first guest.
Absolutely. Well done on that, Thomas. Setting that all up. Thomas was sending emails and that sort of stuff. So, okay. Oh, and really quickly, we were talking about how do we know this is the right rig? Well, it says Phobos right there on the tin. You can see it. But Chris Bergen back in our back channel also said Elon retweeted or liked, I guess, some of Jack's photos when Jack was sort of breaking the photos of Deimos down there in Brownsville and got those fantastic aerial shots. Elon was clicking on those tweets, which we took as sort of pretty good confirmation that if Elon is clicking the like button, maybe we're not too far off base.
Yeah, but even
Also-
at that
yeah.
point, we were already pretty darn sure based
Right,
on the Lone
right.
Star mineral development thing and based on
Yeah.
some other stuff. So that was just more further confirmation to silence the doubters, of which there still seem to be some, but so be it.
Yep.
Also, if you want the entire story again of like everything Michael was talking about how we found these and everything we know about them, there is an article on NASASpaceflight.com. It's actually pinned message in chat, links to that. So if you want the full story on these two rigs, that's available there.
All right. You know, the other thing we haven't talked about yet, since we were sort of breaking the story there, you know us, and commemorating special news events that we help share with the world, we actually, once we got those aerial photos of the helipad, we made some new merch in the store. So we have some Phobos and Deimos helipad themed shirts. If you are interested in almost like a really sort of esoteric side representation of being a space fan, that's the Phobos one, right? Yeah.
Yep.
That is the design matching exactly what the helipad looks like on a t-shirt over in the merch store. So if one of the mods could link that up into chat, just link directly to that shirt if y'all could. Oh, hey, look at that, it
And there's
changed.
And there's the
Deimos.
Deimos one.
Yeah. So that design on the shirt is almost exactly the orientation of the lettering and stuff like that. And an interesting fact on the shirt, we were trying to keep it true to the real thing. So you see the two big yellow bars that are like, Deimos is right next to the two big yellow bars. We're pretty sure, based on comparing old photos to Jack's aerial photos, that those yellow bars are somebody painting over the old names.
Yep,
It's
that's
like
correct.
ENSCO 8500, ENSCO 8501. It's just, they straight up painted over it. They just put Deimos off to one side of it.
Yep.
So if you want to continue to rep some merch that maybe not everyone will understand but has a cool story behind it, you can tell them you picked up one of those Phobos or Deimos rig helipad themed shirts from the NASA Spaceflight.
And in a few days, we'll look at which one of those shirts have sold more, and we'll know which rig people like better.
Darn it, Thomas, you beat me to it. I was going to say, and it'll be our unofficial way to figure out which the space community's favorite one of the two rigs is, because you have to have a favorite, right? It's either Phobos or Deimos. You can't like them
Phobos.
both. Phobos is Phobos. I even photographed Deimos, and I like Phobos best. It's the better name.
Yeah.
I still think that when we put it in text, it needs to be all capitals just because it looks cool. Like none of
I
this
agree.
proper case thing, capital P, lowercase hobos. It should be Phobos, like all caps, Michael.
Wait, Das, what about camel case?
Wait, what? How would you do that?
You know, where it's like, I'm kidding, I'm being stupid.
So again, y'all, we're watching one of SpaceX's offshore platforms that they acquired to convert for Starship operations. This is offshore platform Phobos entering the port of Pascagoula, Mississippi. No scroll revivals going on today. Please, somebody tell me that they got that joke. I don't think anybody did.
I got you, boss. I got you.
All right, the sleepy little town of Pascagoula.
Really quick, Jacob, thank you so much for that super chat. $46, extremely generous, and that is a significant portion of Brady's travel expenses. So we appreciate that support. Without support like that, we wouldn't be able to spend money in expensive streams like this. We really appreciate it.
Yeah. In fact, I've been letting them super chats marinate for a little bit too long there. Jacob, thank you so much. No C says unexpected on so many levels. Thanks for the coverage. I mean, there was some rampant speculation after we sort of teased that we were working on something. It's not like a camera in orbit or anything like that, or a full-time. Some people were saying full-time rig cameras or something like that. Well, rig camera, but not at Galveston. This was Phobos coming in. So no C, thank you so much for the support. We got Synth-O-Sphere looking like a membership there. We appreciate the membership support, Synth. Thanks for joining the club. We got, here we go. I'm going to go with Johann Hubert Sontagbauer. I hope that I got pretty close to pronunciation on that. Saying amazing coverage. The whole team is super dedicated. Thank you very much. Johan, thank you so much for the support. The €5 there. Let us keep on keeping on with the toss Brady onto a plane and get him a hotel down in Pascagoula, Mississippi, so that we can spend 2 hours watching an oil rig get towed into port. I mean, that's where we are now. Oh, we appreciate you there. Daniel Cox, this is a question in here saying, how will they load Starship Super Heavy onto these rigs? Drag the rig onto shore, drag it back out? All we could do is conjecture on that. Thomas, do you want to take a guess?
I can certainly wildly speculate, Das. It's one of the best things the things I'm best at. But yeah, so doesn't seem to make sense that you would stack, Starship or Super Heavy or whatever they're going to use these platforms for. If it's for launch operations, I don't think they're going to stack them on land and tow it out. That seems very contrary to the whole rapid launch cadence. I mean, at some point, these things are going to fly multiple times a day. So it would maybe the first time you can think about it, if they're going to use the same Super Heavy booster for every launch from an offshore launch site, what you could do is, put the Super Heavy and Starship vehicle and then tow it out, and then that Super Heavy vehicle, launches and then does a return to launch site, lands back on the rig, etc., and just kind of stays with that rig and conducts many flights. That's one way you could think of it, but I'm not sure how you then handle the Starship aspect of it. Of course, Starship vehicles could also land on these rigs, so maybe you just handle it that way. Maybe you get vehicles to these via suborbital hops. I mean, there's a lot of ways they could go about it. I don't think it would make sense to tow the rig from port out to wherever part of the ocean they're going to launch from or land from or whatever they're using them for. Doing that between every single flight seems slow and counterintuitive. That might be how they start, but down the road, I think they're going to want to kind of evolve that into not moving the rig that often and kind of keeping it out at the launch site or landing site, wherever they're doing operations with these rigs, and keep letting the vehicles come to them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm gonna go, Gab.
I jump on top of that.
Of course you
can.
can.
So these oil rigs, they're built to sort of stay at a position for a significant amount of time, because they're usually drilling a well or pumping oil. They take while they can move, we're clearly seeing that at the moment. It takes a long amount of time. It's taken them 6 days just to go from Galveston on the other side of the Gulf of Mexico to Pascagoula. If you're thinking like a 6-day journey there and back in time for Starship, we're never going to achieve that rate of launch that they want to
Right.
get to by moving this rig around constantly.
Right.
So I
And
think the rig
also
will
that
stay on station.
that doesn't even include, because don't you have to deballast these rigs before you can move them? I'm sure that's not a short process.
Oh yeah, absolutely. If you can see on the shot, sort of the bottom quarter of the rig, you see it's painted black. The rest of it's grey.
Yep.
Quite a good chunk of this rig is actually underwater at the moment. It's a semi-submersible. When it's fully loaded out at sea to make it more stable, the amount of black you can see is actually going to be lower down in the water. So at the moment it's riding high because there's not a amount of ballast in it because they're towing it. And as Thomas suggested, taking that ballast off takes even more time.
Right, and then there's also, it's like you said, it's a semi-submersible rig. So when they get it out into position, they will flood those tanks, and it'll be riding a lot lower in the water. And then I believe semi-submersible rigs like this, they have thrusters that enable them to sort of station keep. But are they also moored to the ocean floor in any way?
They're not. These are. I had a quick look at the specification for this particular rig. Some are. This is a deep water rig. It actually has 8 thrusters. 8 thrusters that are submerged underwater. They're 3,500 horsepower each. That's 28,000 horsepower. They
Wow.
keep the rig on station in its position. They're not for moving it around in a similar way that the thrusters on the SpaceX drone ships aren't for moving it around. They keep it in that fixed position in the water.
And y'all, just really quickly, I went to another one of Brady's fantastic photos off of Twitter. We were changing the camera setting a little bit so we could back it off and get a little bit more context on what's going on with the rig here. So that's why we're on this scene. Y'all keep going.
Yeah, I mean, but it's worth noting that the rigs are still movable, and so if they have to come into port for maintenance after, like, they support a month of Starship operations, and then they have to come out. And I just literally made up a length of time, but if after every once in a while they need to come into port for some maintenance or some upgrades or whatever, they can do that. But I don't think, given that you would have to, if it's sitting out, let's say they're conducting operations in the Gulf of Mexico, you would have to deballast it, tow it to port, do whatever work you want to do, and if you're suggesting like stacking vehicles on or whatever, and then tow it back out and then ballast it again, that's not a short process, and that doesn't seem feasible. So I think it would be more likely to see it come back to port every once in a while for work if needed, but otherwise it's going to stay out whatever area they're conducting flight operations in, and the vehicles will go out to them. They could use maybe some sort of other ships to transport vehicles from land out to the rigs. That could be something. I know there was some concepts. I believe Boeing had a super heavy lift launch vehicle, kind of in the shuttle derived family that proposed, using a rig out in the ocean, and you just took giant tanker ships, basically converted for transporting stages out. You take this giant ship out to the rig, and then the rig has a crane which you lift it into launch position, and you launch from there. And that would be a lot faster than towing a rig. So maybe they do something like that, and plus that way you could also have vehicles out on the rig while also transporting other vehicles to and from the rig at the same time. So maybe it'll be something like that. I would love to hear from SpaceX or Elon about some details about how exactly they're going to work on this, which, by the way,
So many questions.
still waiting for that next Starship update. So maybe that'll be involved now that the story's kind of out there.
Yeah, it's been months now since Elon said on Twitter, like, Starship update next week on our website or something like that, which itself was a sort of a walk back from an in-person Starship thing, which I guess makes sense due to COVID and what all. But sort of in the same vein, like you're saying, it's coming into port now, but when it's operational, it's going to be sort of station keeping in its operational area. I'm seeing a lot of questions in our queue here about why Phobos is in Pascagoula and not Brownsville. And I don't think we know an answer to that, probably just for modifications. Maybe there's a shipyard or something there that will be doing the work on it in the same way that Keppel here in Brownsville is doing the work on Deimos. But yeah, it's interesting that it's in Pascagoula, Mississippi, and not Brownsville. I mean, that makes me wonder where Phobos is going to end up.
I think Gav had that. Gav, what was the name of the shipyard that it was destined for based on the port records?
Yes, it's a long one. Today, this rig is going to dock at ST Engineering, Holter Marine and Offshore. And according to their website, they are rig repair, upgrade and conversion specialists. So make of that what you will.
Well, you got the upgrade and conversion specialists right there in the name, huh? Or the website. So
Yeah, they say they've done rigs like this into power plants, accommodation platforms, and they've converted flowtails into drilling rigs. So the opposite way around, basically.
did you just say the word flowtails?
I did say the word flowtails.
Oh wow! Again, y'all, we are hanging out here. This is one of those SpaceX offshore platforms we've been talking about. You saw Deimos the other day, Jack Beyer with those fantastic aerial photos and the reveal of the Deimos name on the side of the rig. And here we caught Phobos being pulled into the port of. What is that? Oh, okay. I was super confused because it says chat, let's go for a walk, but that was the question. That was the username beforehand. Being pulled into the port of Pascagoula, Mississippi here. And we were bringing this to you live as one of the first, first look at this oil rig that is, former oil rig, current offshore platform that SpaceX is going to be using for offshore operations for Starship.
Yeah, these are the first ones, right? The very first views.
The first view. Oh, the first views. Yeah, you're right. I was gonna guess really quickly. I was working on grabbing some photos and stuff like that, but I was gonna guess. Wouldn't it be fantastic? And this is me just making stuff up. This isn't anything even SpaceX has hinted at. But if you're watching, it'd be cool. If what they did was turn each offshore platform into a Starship production facility. So you take the roll out there and you take the Raptors ready to go, and then you have big barges that have the LOX and the methane in them that sort of come in and park alongside, and you deliver the raw materials, and then right there on the platform it builds the Starship, and then it rolls it over to the side and it can launch it right there from the platform, and then give it more raw materials, build it right there again, roll it up and send it out. I don't know that that makes any sense or that's anything that you could do, but if Elon truly wants 100, 1,000 Starships going, could you not imagine these automated offshore platforms, like all these robotics, you just give it raw materials and it starts to build you a Starship, and you just have 10, 15, 20 of these platforms out in the Gulf delivering raw materials, and then just there goes a Starship. Then some amount of time later, there goes a Starship, and using them as production facilities as well. I don't know that that's the plan. I don't even know that that makes any sense. Maybe you have a big production facility on shore and then you jump them over there, but it would solve you having to actually transport a completed Starship to the platform if you just built them right there. Again, rampant speculation / cool sci-fi thoughts, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely cool to think about. I don't think they have enough area on the rig itself to do that, but definitely cool to think about, like some kind of giant 3D printer or something. Obviously, welding, not 3D printing, but yeah, just like make it, launch it, and to be clear, we still don't know whether or not these platforms are intended for use as launch pads or just landing pads or what. But it's definitely something fun to think about. I still, in that same vein of stuff that's fun to think about, I can't help but imagine them hopping Starships and super heavies over to these oil rigs as a means of transportation to get them out there. It's just like, how do you get a plane to the airport where it's going to start operating from? You fly it there, right? Like it's a no-brainer, and it's a classic Elon. The best part is no part. The best transportation method for a Starship is under its own power.
Brady's going to zoom back in really quickly, and we'll focus as well. We're trying to see if it says Phobos on the side. We did remove one of the crops on the camera, but let's see what we can get. Just a second. I don't know if that's a person there in that yellow or orange, or if that's like a safety. Oh yeah, you can see people walking around. So let's just watch it pass by here and see if we've got Phobos on the side. We saw it sort of on the front, but we don't know if it's on the side railing here. So
I'm still so floored that Brady was able to get a shot of the nameplate, that there was a nameplate. It's just the coolest darn thing. I know I sound like a broken record, but way to go, Brady. And if you guys don't already follow Brady on Twitter, go follow Brady on Twitter, because he's going to be posting up more photos of this, no doubt, as well as the awesome ones that he's already posted.
Absolutely. You know, they had it like in a storeroom or something. They hadn't deployed it yet, and then they got the YouTube notification because they follow NASA Spaceflight on YouTube. And they're like, "Oh, we better put the sign out!" And they ran out there and they like zip tied it to the deck to the railing right before he came in. That's probably what happened.
I'm almost certain that's what happened to us.
Chat, I made that up. So I haven't seen Phobos on the side here. I'm going to read a couple more super chats really quickly. Let's see here. Dennis Cliff.
Phobos, there it is. There it
Oh,
is.
there it is.
Yes.
You see, I made it appear by going to super chats.
Wow.
Oh, so hold on. That's a second place it says Phobos, right?
Yeah, it was on the front and then it's on the side.
And I don't know if we can see that lifeboat from here.
Yeah, not
But
quite.
that lifeboat might have it too, because on Jack's photos, the lifeboats on Deimos had Deimos written on them.
Yeah. And I'm sure Brady's snapping away some pictures. We'll have a little bit of shake while he zooms back out here. But we got a second Phobos shot. And a Ferris wheel or something. The heck is that?
Looks like some cable reels, maybe for like a
Yeah, those are
cable
reels
laying
or
ship.
something.
Yeah. Look at that. Let me read some of these super chats because we got to pay the bills really quickly. Dennis Clips, thanks for the £5 saying cash for stuff. I'm going to speed run here. We could be looking this one up. Y'all on comms here, let's look this one up. Dino CR asking, how tall is the tower on an ENSCO 8500, 8501, right? Compared to a fully stacked Starship. Keep up the great work. So if somebody could Google that, I'm going to keep reading super chats.
I forget the exact numbers, but it's slightly shorter.
So that tower is slightly shorter than a fully stacked Starship?
Just
Or sorry,
Starship.
Just Starship. Okay, so just Starship by itself.
Wait. A Starship on its own is taller than that tower?
No.
I don't know. All right, so confirm the numbers for me, and then we'll come back. I'm going to read some more super chats, okay? We got, because we're super far behind. We're 30 minutes behind in super chats. Anthony Ball.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm trying here. Anthony Ball, thank you so much. Thanks for all the excellent work you do. We appreciate the kind words. Amos says, if you're in the Pascagoula area, you need to go eat at The Shed Barbecue in Blues Point in Ocean Springs. So, Brady, you copy that? The Shed Barbecue and Blues Joint.
I've heard good things about it. I've been trying to decide between that one and Tay's Barbecue. I think we're going to go to The Shed tonight. Sounds great.
All right. Well, we got $5 in super chats, so you can go and get you some barbecue. We'll have to see how much barbecue you're going to eat, depending on how many super chats we get. But good food and most unique eating experience ever. Amos, thank you so much for the recommendation and the $5. We've also got Taylor Van Camp, $5 saying, hope y'all have a great day. Thanks for the stream, NSF fam. Thanks for the information about the new space rig. Enjoy yourselves today. Taylor, we are having a is it passing another rig?
Yeah.
Another lesser rig with a
It's
wing.
not as cool because it's not a SpaceX rig.
Yeah, exactly. What a shot.
That should be ENSCO 86, I think, based on what the report says they've currently got in port.
Is our rig, is Phobos going to go closer or further than that? Like, is it on the
I think it will go behind it.
Think it'll go behind it?
I think.
That's cool.
I still can't get over how fast it moves. It's just,
I know,
it's
right?
cooking. It's so big and yet it moves so fast.
Well, Gav, what was its speed as it was approaching the port here? It was 5? 9?
Yeah, it's been sort of cruising around about like 5 to 6 knots, which is like 9 to 10 miles an hour, I think. Sorry, no, 6 to 7 miles an hour.
6 to 7 miles per hour. Just warhorse pulling it right into the port there.
Absolutely.
Let me grab a couple more super chats here. Noah Prail, thank you so much. I like this. Who is running this camera? You said you had eyes everywhere last stream. Apparently you do. A little foreshadowing there, I guess, Noah. This is Brady Kenniston. Brady flew down to an airport near Port of Pascagoula. I don't know exactly what airport you flew into, Brady.
New Orleans.
New Orleans. There you go. So flew into New Orleans and set up one of the remote rigs. I actually had to overnight. This is my own personal broadcast kit, like my own modems, my own solo. This is like the original solo that I originally broadcast my Falcon 9 or Falcon 9 Falcon Heavy streams from down at the Cape. It's like the solo from which all live streams were wrought. Now we're like 8 solos or something. So I overnighted that down there. To get it there in time, I had to spend $100 to overnight the broadcast rig. But we got it there so that we could share this with y'all, the entry of Phobos into the port of Pascagoula. But that's Brady out there, Noah. Massive props to Brady for literally dropping everything, jumping on the plane, and getting out there, scouting the location out. We did some tests the last couple days to make sure we had bandwidth, signal, cameras all working well. But this is all Brady out there running solo, like literally.
Oh, jeez.
Hey, thanks, Thomas. I got a couple more super chats. Well, again, we're like 20 minutes behind in super chats. Will Birchall says, Elon said Starship and Super Heavy will need to be launched offshore for safety and noise issues. Will we need these rigs for all up Starship Super Heavy tests? So again, I'll do that one really quickly. SpaceX hasn't exactly said what these rigs are for. Are they landing platforms? Are they launching platforms? We don't know for sure exactly what they're doing with them. As they convert them, I think we'll start to get some hints when we see the equipment they put on board. But we do not know exactly how they're going to use them. They're just in support of offshore Starship operations.
Yeah.
Also, I would like to jump on a myth that is persisting through this super chat. They do not need to launch all up Starship and or Super Heavy vehicles on offshore platforms. They are still going to launch them from Boca Chica, and they're still going to launch them from the Kennedy Space Center.
I
disagree.
I don't know if I agree with that, Thomas. Honestly.
They're just building the orbital launch platform for fun, or?
I think we'll see them launch Super Heavy with less Raptors from Boca Chica, but I have not been convinced that the actual full Super Heavy stack with all 28 Raptors is going to launch from that orbital launch platform.
I am of the same thinking, and I'm not going to go as far as to say I would eat my hat if a all-up, fully fueled, fully stacked system launches from Boca Chica. But I'm pretty close. I would eat a hat-shaped something. I don't know, but not an actual. You know what I mean?
Yeah, South Padre Island is going to be rattling. I don't know if windows is going to be breaking, but South Padre Island would be rattling if a full 28 engine Super Heavy launch from Boca Chica.
Good deal. Sorry, I was reading one other thing. Yeah.
Sorry, Thomas. Didn't mean to rain on your parade, but.
We'll wait and see, I guess.
See. Yeah, we'll have to see which one it is. Future Martian 97 hashtag Phobos fan club. Uh-oh. Thomas, you've been replaced.
Oh, geez.
It's an inanimate object. No longer the Thomas fan club.
It should be Phobos Fog Crab. Come on, Future Martian.
Phobos Fog Crab. Future Martian, thank you so much for the $5 there. Dan Rarb BC. I do not know if I got that one correct, but we appreciate you there, Dan Rarb. $5. It says, "Don't blame me. I voted for Phobos." That must be back when we were talking about the Phobos and Deimos theme.
That's a Simpsons reference. Don't blame me. I voted for Kodos.
Ah. Saib Boma with some euros. We appreciate you, Saib. Sorry if I do not know how to pronounce your name, but we really do appreciate the support. Nicholas Stansbury stopping through saying, "We've gone from Texas tank watching to Mississippi oil rig watching all in one day." It's true. It's true. Truly, NASA spaceflight coverage spans, I'm not going to say the globe, but at least the Gulf Coast here this morning, down from South Texas up to Pascagoula, Mississippi. We appreciate you, Nicholas. I'm almost done with the queue here, y'all. I know we're going to answer some regular questions as well. Jonathan Hammond, thank you so much. Amazing, dedicated coverage. Thank you. Not too many tweets, please, Brady. Hard to keep up. Well, Jonathan, thank you for following Brady on Twitter. Brady's been continuing to produce these fantastic photos that he's releasing on Twitter. So one of the mods, if you could put Brady's Twitter handle in there again, there it is on screen, @thefavoritist. Bruce,
don't make fun of my.
Oh, I'm not. Wait, oh, no.
Don't make fun of my dumb Twitter handle that I made when I was 14.
I would ask if it has like an origin story or something like that, or it was just available.
Literally nothing. It just came into my head one day, and that was it.
Well, you're talking to somebody who goes by DOS, so I don't think your favoritist is really that terrible.
Yeah, agreed.
Go ahead.
I lucked out on Twitter because I'm just Jack Fire on Twitter, but on Instagram I'm Neon Heat Disease, which makes no sense. And again, it was kind of a name I made forever ago, and now I'm like, well, you should probably have I don't know about that name, but no, the favoritist is good. At least you don't have the word disease in your name.
Oh no. Bruce Girdlestone, thank you so much for the support. $3. Thomas Kuhn, or Cohn, I'm not sure which one it is, but €10 saying NASA spaceflight, with the rigs being as big as they are, They might even put a huge like a Libra crane on one end of the deck to pull up boosters and starships from a barge and stack them on board. I think it's going to be very interesting to see exactly what equipment these rigs get outfitted with. So we shall see. Thomas, thank you for the 10 euros. Frederick, thank you so much. It says, thanks, guys. Awesome that you are covering the offshore platform. Hey, it's one of those cool new things. We like sharing cool new stuff with people. We like sharing cool old stuff with people. Last couple days, we've liked sharing fog with people. But it's just one of those things that we had an opportunity to cover. The preparation met the opportunity, met Brady hopping on a plane, met the data working, and here we are with the live stream of the platform Phobos coming in. Tech controls. What is used to supply power to the rigs? I can get that one real quick. Traditionally, they've got big diesel generators on board. So you don't see a bunch of, a wind farm on top of it or a bunch of solar panels. The rigs use a lot of power. You would have to plaster this thing with solar panels. Trying to use solar power, you would not get anywhere near the power required for operation of the rig. So usually you got big diesel generators, and you can see that. I'm not sure. I see a couple of exhaust ports on the side, but I don't think that that's the generator array.
I've got the numbers here for you if you want
There you
them.
go. Yeah, go, Gav. Thank you.
This rig at the moment, before SpaceX changes anything, it has 7 3,580 kilowatt hour generators on board. And they are Baylor S855s.
So big.
I have no idea what model it is. That's just what it says on the sheet.
Are those Michael's generators or something?
Maybe.
Huh.
Now I have a question, Das. So the power requirements that you're talking about are in reference to oil drilling operations,
Yes,
right?
that is correct. That is correct.
So it's possible that they won't need that much power going forward, and so they could
Yes.
either cut down on the number of generators they need, or I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much they'd have to cut down to like not use diesel generators and use something else, but that power requirements are definitely going to change when they move to Starship operations.
Yeah, absolutely,
Kevin-
Thomas. That's a great point.
Kevin, are those thrusters electric or? I bet they're pretty power hungry at the very least. But without all the oil rig stuff, like you're saying, Thomas,
Right.
probably they could get rid of some. But I'm curious what powers those thrusters. If they're like electric
I
driven
can
or.
find out for you. I might need a moment.
Aren't they
Welcome to the
similar?
stream called "Give Gavin Some Work to Do."
I could be
They're
wrong, Gavin,
floats.
but aren't they similar to the ones on Just Read the Instructions?
They are. They're azimuth thrusters. Yeah, they are. Oh God, how do I even say it? They're flow serve closure thrusters. I think they're electrical powered, but the electricity will be coming from diesel generators on board.
Got it. Cool.
You'd expect the same sort of thing we see on the drone ships. Of course, I still read the instructions, and of course I still read the instructions. Did I just say that?
Yeah.
It does exist. It's just a South Padre boat, not a official SpaceX boat.
The drone ships have these big diesel generators on it. They create electrical power to supply the station keeping thrusters that they were talking about. We see that at the port all the time. Those big shipping containers that have generators inside of them to provide the power. You can tell when they spool up, they'll get a big belch of coal rolling out it, unfortunately. You can tell when they turn on those generators for testing or whatever it is they do in port. I keep getting further behind. I'm going to get this down to 10 minutes in the queue, and then we'll do some regular questions or whatever y'all want. It's still moving, right? It's slowed down, maybe?
They have
Still going.
pretty much arrived at where they're going to stop,
All right.
but it'll take a while to get actually like positioned and moored and everything like that.
Gotcha. So Jordan Strait, that's a membership. Thank you so much for joining the NASA Spaceflight fam. I don't think I'm young enough to say fam, but we appreciate you there, Jordan. Wiggle says, there's some wonderful irony to using ex-oil rigs for this job. Wonderful jobs, guys. That's exactly what we were talking about. Thomas, you made that note in a tweet somewhere, right?
Yeah, just the irony of an oil company going bankrupt and then the rigs being sold to SpaceX for what will eventually at least be planned to be a carbon neutral spaceflight program. There's a little bit of irony to be had there.
Yeah.
Elon even tweeted, I think yesterday, that he's going to be giving $100 million towards carbon capture technology.
Yeah.
Did anybody just like tweet him a picture of a tree? I wanted to so bad, but I figured
That's
somebody else
amazing.
would have had to think about that. It's like, yes, Elon, nature has your back. Here's a tree. Or phytoplankton or whatever.
I wonder how many trees you need though to capture enough carbon for a Starship, and how long they would take.
All right,
The
someone
joke-
do the math on that.
Yeah, the joke is less funny if it involves doing math, Michael.
It's probably like an insanely large amount of force, though. I'd be curious to know, and it probably takes a long time.
So that's gotten us sort of caught up to 10 minutes on the queue there. Again, y'all, we don't want the stream to just be about answering super chats. We also see some really good questions in the regular queue. And I think our plan here is to hang out for a little while. I mean, we wanted to get the arrival. We can certainly still see the rig. And I think, I'm not exactly sure how we would do this because we've only got one camera. We'd have to hang out on fleet cam or something like that. But Brady might have had an opportunity to move closer as well and look at some of the details. Right, Brady?
It's like a 10-minute drive over to the port. Not 100% sure if they're cool with that, but we could try it, certainly.
Is it like public roads, like a residential area? You wouldn't be like in the middle of an industrial? Because I know port security is sort of an important thing.
Yeah, it's all public roads. It kind of just like ends at the end of the port. But I'm happy to go there and try it out if we want to.
Okay.
Also, I need to do a battery swap real quick if we get a chance.
All right. Give me just 1 second, and I'm just going to go back to that last photo we had of the rig coming in. There we go, Brady. You're good for a battery swap.
All right.
And again, y'all, I just put up the static photo here. We've got one camera out there today. It's Brady's camera, and we will let's have that discussion, y'all, in the back channel. Just decide if we want to go for a move or what we want to do.
Should be back.
All right, stand by.
And I'm gonna go over there anyway and grab photos of it. So if we just want to leave it here or and not stream from over there and just have me grab photos, that's fine with me too. Either way.
All right, and there we are back live again, Brady. We got the. Okay, yeah, the rig's moving. I'm like, is that picture actually moving? It is moving. So we have live video. So stand by for just 1 second here, y'all. I know there's still super chats. I know there's still questions in the queue.
One thing I was going to say quickly is that on the schedule for I almost said Pensacola, for Pascagoula, it says that Phobos is scheduled to depart in late June. So that's kind of interesting because I think it would take longer than 6 months or so to convert this thing into an operational platform. Although I'm not an expert on oil rigs, I'm not an expert on exactly what SpaceX's plans are for this rig. I don't know if it's going to be a landing pad, which would seemingly be an easier conversion than a launch pad. So I'm not sure exactly what kind of modifications are going to be needed, but to me, it seems like 6 months could possibly be a bit short. So I'm wondering what the exact plans are for them to do in Mississippi. Is it just to start removing pieces and then it's going to be shipped to Brownsville for SpaceX to work on it themselves? I'm not really sure, but like Gav said, what company was it, Gav? I think it's like a third-party contractor that SpaceX is most likely going to be using in Mississippi.
Yeah, Holton Marine and Offshore.
Yeah, there you go. So we'll see what happens. We'll see if that late June departure date holds, but to me that sounds like Mississippi may not be the final location that Phobos goes for conversion.
Did we get a final like height of the derrick versus height of Starship?
We didn't have numbers, no.
To me it looks a bit short for a full stack, but that's just me eyeballing it, and it's hard to judge scale.
I think it's bigger than a Starship, but smaller than a full stack.
Yeah, that would make sense to me. And I mean, we were talking about on another stream, for uncrewed starships, we're not sure if they're going to have umbilicals actually going up the Starship, or if they will just fuel and load liquid oxygen into Starship from the location where they will have the necessary pipelines for the in-orbit refueling. You know, could Super Heavy provide propellant through that same area on Starship, and that way all of the propellant lines for Starship Super Heavy would go through the bottom of the Super Heavy booster, as opposed to having an umbilical tower like you see on most rockets. But We'll have to see how that goes. We don't have a lot of details on the Super Heavy design yet.
Chad is saying it's half the size of the derrick is half the size of a full stack.
That to me makes sense.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
All right. Again, I'm just looking through here. We were sort of, we were thinking about, do we try to move closer, and looking at the maps and stuff like that. It's like a secure industrial area. It's a public road you can drive on, but it's one thing to drive through the port on the public road, and another thing to stop on the side of the road and deploy a tripod with a camera on it, and then stay there for an hour or something like that. So our call on that is we are not going to ask Brady to move closer. We are going to finish up the live stream from here. We still have lots of super chats and questions to go through, but when we're done, we're not going to move closer. We'll end with this camera view in a little while here, and then Brady will go closer and just take some lower profile pictures. Again, we're always trying to be respectful of things like the security at the port. We don't want to go and deploy a camera rig and then have a security truck come up and be like, what are you doing? This sort of thing. Even if it's a public road, even if legally we could be there, we can see this stuff visually. We don't want to put people in that sort of situation. So Brady going by, taking some quick photos and stuff like that is one thing, as opposed to deploying a live stream rig and then sitting there for an hour while we do Q&A with the internet, right? So Brady will be getting some photos and video up close, but the live stream will not go any closer right now. That is sort of the plan that we came up with on that. And then we still have a ton of super chats and stuff here. Thomas, are you available? Could you read through some of the super chats for a minute?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Let's see. We've got one here from Martin. Thank you so much. Consider that when Starship is truly up and running with several trips a day, there will almost certainly be people on that platform while it lands, etc. I'm not sure I would assume that. I mean, you could have people offshore on support vessels, kind of like how they manage the drone ships right now, and then the support vessel could, retreat to a safe distance, launch or landing occurs, and then the teams return to the rig to do any processing they need people there for. I could see that happening because you only have to retreat, a couple miles away. Obviously, depending on what exactly they're doing, but I could see that making more sense than having people actually on the rig, even though, yes, they want, Starship and Super Heavy to be as safe as possible. Noises from rocket launches are still very dangerous regardless of how safe the vehicle is. So, but there are ways around that. Spartan Gaming with a super chat, thank you, saying now we just need to get an oil rig to space. Well, now we're getting all Armageddon, I think, but appreciate the super chat. Sibi, something like that. I hope I got that right. Thank you. Staying close enough. Thanks. Keep up the good work. Appreciate it. Ruth with a super chat as well. Thank you so much. Gideon says Elon called them super heavy class spaceports. Yeah, floating super heavy class spaceports. I don't know. I think he might have said super heavy in the sense of like the class of vehicle, not necessarily talking about the exact super heavy booster that they're calling super heavy. I'm not, so not confirmed there, but yes. Whatever a spaceport entails as far as SpaceX is concerned is what they've got planned for these things. Jonathan with what he says is maybe a stupid question. Are rigs also boats? I don't know. Gavin, are rigs boats?
No. I think. I'm not the authority on this, but I don't think they are. I think it should count as a semi-submersible vehicle, not a boat.
There we go. Gavin's the expert, so I'm going to yield to him on that one. Appreciate the super chat. Thomas with a super chat saying microwave beam power from an on-land solar farm. I don't even know if that would be technically feasible, but it's certainly an idea. Thank you so much. Asimo saying this is so cool. Completely agree and appreciate the super chat there. Will with a new membership, thank you so much. Thanks for joining on. We got CA&P Railroad, a regular around the NASA Spaceflight channel, saying, here's my theory, they will launch completed Starships and Super Heavies from Bugashika to the offshore platforms, then stack and launch them with payloads from there. I wouldn't rule out, suborbital flights out to these pads, especially since I would think they're not really going to use them until they're into more operational missions, not the test flights. So that could make sense. Seems a little ridiculous now, but that's just because there's not a lot of precedent for something like the Starship program. So could be interesting to see. Tony with a new membership, thank you so much. And then we've got one last one here with some dimensions on Phobos, 310 by 225 by 96 feet. I don't know which one of those dimensions are which, but it's pretty big. We're definitely going to get some, once we get some up-close photos from Brady, I'm sure there will be some people making some renderings and things of like what a Starship would look like on these vehicles and stuff. So it'll be very cool to see how the size compares and how they might fit in. Thank you to everyone for all of your support, especially of this stream. Again, literally Brady flew out to Mississippi to give us these camera views. So we really do appreciate all the support. It's what allows us to kind of have cameras everywhere that cool things are happening. So really do appreciate it. And I think that does catch us up on the super chats for now.
Cool, so we can take some questions then.
Just
Yeah,
a quick
absolutely.
thing. I was talking with a local out here that was watching the stream and came out and said hi.
Wow. A local found out about the stream on YouTube?
Yeah, just
So they follow, that shows how many people are interested in Starship then. And if somebody, like
So
right where you were, found out about the stream and knew who we were, we don't like normally stream here. This is the first time we've ever streamed from Mississippi.
Right.
So that's pretty crazy. I mean, if it was in Florida, I would expect that to happen, possibly.
Right.
But
We've met NASA Spaceflight viewers in like Port Canaveral and things like that.
Yeah.
But Mississippi is a new one for us. So that's pretty cool. Also got a super chat here from Bill Sparks saying, "Keep on keeping on. We will, and we appreciate your super chat." So yeah, we can answer some other questions that have come through the queue here. We've got some older questions here that I do want to get through, so I hope these people have hung around and we can answer them. Of course, I think they will be interested of anyone who's watching. But talking about, has Deimos, or Deimos, however that you pronounce that, already been here, or will it come here after Phobos is done? So Deimos is in Brownsville still, and they're working on it there. I don't think they're necessarily going to do any of the initial conversion work or whatever preparations work they're doing currently on the rigs. They don't necessarily need to be in the same place. Although I think Michael's idea of maybe doing some preliminary work here in Pascagoula and then sending Phobos back to Brownsville where SpaceX is could make sense once you get into some of the more specialized conversion work to prepare it for Starship operations. I think I like that theory. Anyone else have any other theories about where these rigs might be going?
To me, it's a matter of, there's a specialty shipyard here in Pascagoula that specializes in conversion of oil rigs, and they have the bandwidth and they got the contract to modify this rig. In the same way that in Brownsville there is that Keppel, the Keppel facility, which is also specializes in specialty vehicles and conversion of oil rigs. So I think it's just a matter of, these are the two companies that got the contract to do the modifications, and you might not want to have them both here in Brownsville, for example, due to just workforce constraints. Like Keppel probably has enough people, and this, I'm totally guessing here, but this is my inkling. Keppel probably has enough people to handle one rig and whatever other projects, shipbuilding projects they have going on, but maybe not two. So having two separate companies do the modifications, I mean, that kind of just makes sense. Like, working in parallel kind of thing, right? Like, almost maybe even like how this is going a little bit far, but maybe even how in Cocoa, in Florida, they used to have a separate Starship team, right? And they sort of competed and had to share what they learned with each other, but it was sort of a way to shake out some of those early bugs in the Starship program. Maybe working on both of these rigs in parallel is something that SpaceX has found use in. Just me guessing there. I'm very curious why it's in, why two different places.
yeah, and I mean, we'll also keep an eye out on the SpaceX job listings. Perhaps they will hire people from Mississippi. We'll have to wait and see. I'm not sure exactly where the rigs are going to go, for Starship operations, obviously somewhere in the Gulf of Mexico, but perhaps it would be the further downrange from Brownsville if they're a landing platform, or if they're a launch platform, maybe off the coast of Brownsville is not the most optimal place to put an oil rig for launch. It could be somewhere else in the Gulf of Mexico. So I'm not sure where they're going to be staging these rigs when they have to come back for maintenance. But presumably somewhere in the Gulf Coast. So we'll have to keep an eye out on those job listings to see if other locations end up being places where SpaceX is hiring for these offshore rig operations.
So we got a question here. Actually, I guess it's technically a request, but can we get up a picture of Deimos to compare with Phobos? Michael, do we have one? Like a wide shot? Yeah. So I'll show you both of the rigs, of course. Deimos being the other one in Brownsville, Texas. The one you're looking at on screen now is Phobos in Mississippi. And they are pretty much identical, but yeah, go ahead, Michael.
I was going to say, it does look like, have they stopped now?
Maybe?
Yeah, they have
I think they're
all but not.
Yeah, they're going either super slow or they've stopped.
You know what my question is? That blue roof there, that wouldn't happen to be a bar and grill, would it?
It's a yacht yacht club, I think.
A yacht club. Interesting.
Das taking notes.
Yacht clubs have phone numbers and stuff like that. I wonder.
No, it's not an oyster bar, Das. That's where our experience previously lies, right?
Yeah, exactly. Maybe what did I say? I asked Rusty's if they wanted to expand to the port of Brownsville. Maybe they got business in Pascagoula. I don't know.
I do have the photo from Jack, so I'll put it up quickly. This was from an aircraft, right, Jack?
Nice.
Yep, that's from a single-engine fixed-wing aircraft. It was gusting 40 miles an hour that day, by the way. I'm glad I don't get airsick.
Yeah,
that was. I mean, go ahead.
I was gonna say, don't fly drones over ports because they're usually security or high security areas with no drone rules. So don't fly a drone over a port. So that was from an aircraft, a fixed-wing aircraft, like Jack said, not a drone.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was also in accordance with all of the flight restrictions that are around Boca Chica for Starship operations. Obviously, you need to be mindful of those. You won't find a pilot that isn't, but, just to re-emphasize. But, yeah, so the two rigs are basically identical. I mean, they were previously ENSCO 8500 and 8501. They were built right, in sequence with one another. They both started out the same. And we don't know exactly what these rigs are used for. They could use them for two different things. One could end up being a launch rig and the other be a landing rig or something. Who knows? So it'll be interesting to see if they modify them differently or if they both maintain pretty much the same.
Yeah, I was going to say this is the aerial photo, one of the aerial photos we used to design the t-shirts. So the helipad there that says Deimos on it, like if you zoom in on that, it says Deimos. That's how we got that t-shirt design. They're like, oh, how should we design it? We hadn't seen the photo yet. We knew Jack was going up in the air. And I told Mark, I was like, well, if you wait about 30 minutes, we'll have an actual photo of what it looks like. And then he designed those Phobos and Deimos t-shirts based on the helipad on each one of the rigs after we knew that they were named and like visibly named,
I'm going to zoom in a little bit, Dust, if that's cool with you.
Yeah, of
Go
course.
for it.
I'll try like a pan down or something. Let's see what we got.
Sorry, I'm trying to get... There we go. It's off screen now. You're good to go, Brady.
And there's that definitely not a flag
Yeah.
thing at the top, yeah.
And there's Das's yacht club right there.
Nice. I could call them.
You can just see the Phobos name above the roof of the yacht club there.
Yeah.
We're going to zoom back in. Let's see. Oh, yeah,
yeah, that's it. Yep.
It's right there. Nice.
See if I can zoom in a little farther here.
Brady, so well done, by the way. It's the first live stream. I know you're not new to hanging out around a camera, but this is the first live stream that Brady has operated a live feed for us like this. And he's out there by himself. Flew into New Orleans, drove up, and been hanging out there, stalking, waiting for this thing to come in. And there is where it says Phobos. Unfortunately, when the spring comes around, I bet you those trees are going to block the block the view a little bit.
Yeah,
Like-
the dock that's right there is pretty obscured from the yacht club, unfortunately.
Yeah, those silly carbon capture devices. Automatically deployed carbon capture devices. um,
We got a message here saying that to fill a launch per day of the full stack, they would need a total of around 400,000 square meters of forest, as far as CO2 capture is concerned. So there's someone did the math.
someone did the math. Nice.
Yep,
Go ahead, Thomas.
I was just gonna say really quick, that Kerbal guy with a new membership, thanks for joining on. And Tech Noodle with a super chat. Appreciate both of your support.
And it looks like while I stood up for just a second there, y'all cleared out the super chat queue and the question queue that had built up. I mean,
Yeah,
questions
a much of the
always come
question
in.
queues were like the same questions, so
Right,
we kind of
we had
answered them all
covered
at once. But
All
yeah,
good.
if you have more questions, please put them in the chat. I'm still looking, and if I see any questions we can try and answer, I'll definitely throw them in there. We do have this one asking if SpaceX uses MechJeb to fly their rockets. Any expertise there, does?
I hope not. I hope they don't.
Yeah,
use
I was
MechJeb.
gonna say, with my experience with MechJeb, I hope they don't.
Jeez, the Dragon would never dock with the space station if you left MechJeb in control. So, like, the entire trunk would have to be filled with propellant in order to get
Right.
it docked. So, anyways, I think that was. Is there anything we haven't covered yet? We covered Phobos and Deimos and how we know what's going on and the chain of records that we followed as we were sort of investigatively tracking what was happening with the rigs and how we knew they were coming into port here today. Was there any big part that we hadn't covered yet? Like Gav, you've been here hanging out. Is there anything about this that we haven't discussed yet? I know it's like an open-ended question. Like,
Don't think so. Don't think so.
yeah. And I guess to be clear, it's going to be a while before we see these things leave. It's not like they're in for a week and then, all right, they're going to be out, ready for Starships. It does take months of outfitting, I guess, to change them around. I guess. We don't know exactly how they're going to change them, so maybe I shouldn't say that, but we expect it to be some time for them to finish their modifications, right?
And I think a launch pad is a lot more complicated than a landing pad, so
Right.
if you're going for a launch pad or a launch pad and a landing pad, that's going to be a lot longer than if it's just a landing pad. You're going to need a lot of consumables for the propellant to fully fuel and liquid oxygen load a Starship Super Heavy stack. So I'm not sure how they're going to do that. I have a feeling they might have separate barges that bring or tankers that bring the propellant to the oil rig as opposed to having lots of tanks on board the oil rig. But I don't know. That's complete speculation on my part.
Yep.
This is, to be clear, this is the end of our oil rig info that we have and have not shared yet.
Yeah.
Everything else as to like what SpaceX is going to do with it, we have no idea other than what Elon has tweeted.
We have the bit of precedence we do have is when they kind of first announced like, hey, we might launch this from offshore platforms of some kind, was that Earth to Earth idea, right? Which had spaceports off the coast of major cities that did both launches and landings. So we know that is at least one of the options, but they could also, of course, kind of divide it up into only a launch facility or only a landing facility.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, personally, if Elon's most recent words was calling them floating spaceports, to me, a spaceport involves launches and landings at some point. If it's not
Concur.
really a one-way thing, right? So, but again, that's reading into a one-line tweet, so. But it'll be definitely an interesting thing to follow.
I think we're sort of scrolling through and having a look at some of the questions, but at some point we want to free Brady up so he can go and get some of those up-close photos. So having cleared out the majority of the super chat queue and getting a bunch of the questions, I mean, we'll never run out of questions. There's no way we could be here 24/7 answering questions. But let me see if we missed anything big. But it may be time for us to start wrapping things up to free up Brady for those photos, right, y'all?
Yeah.
I think so. I mean, especially if the rig is kind of where it's gonna be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna start converting on it today. But totally.
And before you just see that giant tower collapse right now, they just sawed it right off, got right to it.
That yellow crane just goes over and knocks it over onto a waiting barge down there. We're like, wait, what? We haven't seen that happen in Brownsville yet, so pretty sure that's not happening.
Yeah.
here.
No.
Tolan, thank you for the membership. Welcome to Capcom. And remember, you can get access to our Discord channel. Sometimes it takes an hour, but if you do !Discord in chat, that will give you instructions on how to join the Discord channel.
I have one more thing to show, I think. One sec.
Sure.
There's a tug leaving to go to the other side of the port. Let me see if I can find it.
Is this one of the ones that was towing Phobos?
Think so.
Oh, it actually is the one that was towing it. Yeah, that is it leaving. It's done. Job done.
Signet Warhorse?
Is that Warhorse?
Yeah, that's Warhorse 1.
Wow, it literally just like threw it into port and turned it and left.
Got more important things to do, I guess. Jeez.
Yeah. It's like they didn't even let the rig settle before they disconnected, and I figure it was still sort of floating into port slowly as they turned and ran.
It's got to go all the way back to Galveston or something. Who knows?
Wow. I bet you it makes a little bit better time when it's not pulling the massive offshore platform than when it was.
Oh,
pulling.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's already going twice the speed it was coming in.
Gav, how does that work? Like, I know that the platforms have beacons, I guess, that turned on, and then a lot of, if you went on and you searched for ENSCO 8501 or whatever, it said, reported 3 years ago, or however long ago it was. Do you think they'll eventually turn those beacons back on, or is it different? Do you know?
They might do. I'm not quite sure what the deal is when it's a proper rig. The SpaceX drone ships don't have these trackers on them. You have to know which tug is towing them.
Right.
I don't know quite what the deal will be with the rigs. Obviously, they did have them in the past. They got shut off when these rigs were pretty much laid up for scrap before SpaceX bought them. So who knows what the future holds?
Did the barges that they made the drone ships out of ever have like transponders that you could have seen? Do we know?
The Marmot?
No, that barges don't have to have those kind of trackers, so they never
Right.
had them. Never will.
So the
Might be a-
rigs might be different because they did at one point do that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the drone
exactly.
ships
Bigger.
only operate when there's a notice to mariners to keep out. So
Right.
the standard oil rigs are operating when there can be other ships coming through the area.
Ah, that makes sense.
Right, that does make sense. I used to do scuba diving off the offshore platforms like that. Like, we'd hop on a big boat and we'd go out to one of the offshore rigs, like the 20 or 30 mile rigs, and you could go scuba diving down, not one of the floating ones like this, but the ones that are actually sitting on the bottom in maybe 100, 200 feet of water. And you can hop in some scuba gear and you can go scuba around those things. It's really confusing. The fish don't really care which way is up and down. They just swim along the pilings. So the fish will be swimming straight up or straight down or at an angle or something like that. You get disoriented looking around. But anyways, that's my oil rig story. Goodbye. I don't know why I thought of that all of a sudden. Scuba stream, maybe?
I got a question here from Nicholas asking where the two names come from. So Phobos and Deimos are the two moons of Mars. So that's the name connection for SpaceX. A lot of people were freaking out because it's also, I guess, the either Greek or Roman gods for fear and something else, which is like, why would they name it that? And it's like, no, it's actually the names of the moons of Mars.
Yeah, I was going to say they're from the popular first-person shooter Doom.
Yeah. I also like that DOS makes that connection before the moons of Mars connection.
Look, I played a lot of video games in my... Wow, that would have been like 96 that Doom was coming out, so that's
And
like
Doom
5 years ago.
Doom was one of those games too, where you played it, you sunk a lot of time into it, and it was kind of transformative in the gaming landscape, right? So it makes sense that it's in his brain, but yeah, you're right, Thomas. It's pretty hilarious.
Yeah.
It is also, to be fair, isn't the big Falcon rocket, except not Falcon, isn't that also from Doom, right?
Yeah, well, yes, actually, the BFG.
Right,
the
yeah.
Big gun.
Right. Okay. So that is still. I would say that's still an Elon connection if they named it after Doom too. I think it's two birds, one stone. I think.
The meme game is strong. Do we have any idea what those towers on the side are?
I do.
Yeah, on the left of the frame.
What are they,
Is it a
Gav?
jack-up rig?
Yeah, that's a
Gavin?
jack-up rig.
Nice.
So
Ah.
you'd only use those in sort of shallow waters. The rigs at the bottom, they can't really see it. It's concealed by the trees there. But that would sort of sail out into sort of shallowish waters, and then those massive steel columns, they descend down through the ship into the water, and then they touch the seabed, and the rig jacks itself up and stabilizes itself on the seabed.
Nice. I saw them there, and at first I thought it was like a bridge or something like that, or a, like a lift bridge or something. But that's really cool to know. Just a different type of platform than the floating one that Phobos is.
Yeah, exactly. Phobos has thrusters to keep it in position, so it can operate in really deep ocean, whereas you can visibly see on screen the maximum water depth that jack-up rig can go into, so it has to touch the seabed. So they only operate closer to the shore.
Okay, but I do think that we are getting to the end of the live stream. Again, I want to cut Brady loose so that he can get over and take some close-up photos of this, and then stop in and get the name of the manager of the yacht club for me. I'm kidding. I can look that up.
Do it.
All right, so having cleared out the super chat queue completely and stuff like that, I think that we have a couple cool things to leave y'all with, even though we're going to be ending the live stream here, live coverage from Pascagoula, Mississippi, of the SpaceX offshore platform Phobos coming in, the, I guess, twin platform to Deimos that we found down at Brownsville. If you are still jonesing and need your daily space fix of what's going on, check out this link. I'm going to put a link into chat. There we go. And that is to our video compilation of the static fire that happened down at Boca Chica earlier today. We got that super early morning static fire. Roads closed at 7 a.m. local time, and the static fire was not short after. We started the stream when the tri-vents were happening, and literally 10 minutes later, we got a static fire. Then we did Q&A, answered questions and stuff for an hour plus afterwards. But go check out that video. You don't have to go home, but we'd appreciate if you go watch the video from the static fire earlier today. And then, of course, later today, we will be releasing one of Mary's fantastic daily videos of what's going on around Boca Chica. So Starship operations do not stop just because an oil rig's being towed around. Or I'm going to continue to use offshore platform as the proper terminology for it, even though it's very much, I mean, it's not onshore, it's in the channel, but whatever. So SpaceX continuing to do stuff, and Mary is all over Boca Chica, the production facility and the test facility down there. We know we got 7.2 coming up. Imagine there's going to be some engine inspections on SN9 after what seemed to be a successful static fire earlier this morning. But go and check those things out. And then I know the big question on everybody's minds is usually, when are you going to go live next? So the next show that we're going to have is tomorrow, right, Thomas?
Yes, we'll have two tomorrow. First, in the morning, we will have the Falcon 9 launch with the Transporter 1 mission from Cape Canaveral. So we'll be bringing live coverage of that mission in the morning. And then tomorrow afternoon, very exciting, we will be welcoming Peter Beck, CEO and founder of Rocket Lab, onto the show for some NSF Live Q&A / interview / whatever you want to call it. But we'll be talking to Peter about all sorts of things Rocket Lab, and we will be taking live questions from chat during that. So two very cool streams coming up tomorrow. So if you're not subscribed already, please do so, because we've got cool stuff coming and you won't want to miss it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that'll be the next live stream we do, but another big question on everybody's mind, if that static fire on SN9 was good today, hashtag WinHop. If you want to help share, or winhop.com, one way or the other. If you want to help share, apparently we have another new merch in the store, the WinHop hat. I'm literally just sitting here on the live stream, and then the guy who manages the store is like, here, Das, here's another thing I just put on the store. And so the hashtag WinHop hat with our little hoppy on there. On the side of it, you can't see it in this photo, but it actually says WinHop, like hashtag WinHop on the side. And apparently this is a stock model that's included with the hat design. I didn't get that one. But you can hop over. Here's the link right here. He's actually got it labeled
Hop
Win
over.
Hat.
Hop over.
Chris B said, "Why is my wife promoting that hat?" Oh, but there's a link, y'all, if you want to get the Win Hat or the Win Hop hat, or the Win Hop shirt. I know everybody's waiting, even Star Hopper is waiting, and that is some new merch that we just released. Again, we don't want to be too cringy with the merch shout-outs and stuff, but they really do help us improve our coverage. I mean, people buying t-shirts, people doing super chats. It's one reason that a live stream of the SpaceX offshore platform happened today. So we cannot say thank y'all enough, whether it is buying merch from the store, showing up to the live streams, retweeting tweets, letting ads roll, showing up for the dailies, whatever it is, it's because y'all keep showing up that allows us to do this. And right here, I'm not going to miss this one out. Tolan May, look at this. Tolan May says, I grew up sailing out of that yacht club. I'm going nuts. There's multiple exclamation points in that super chat. So Tolan, happy we were able to bring some NS coverage to your, I'm going to say hometown, down there at Pascagoula. Thank you so much for the support, and we'll continue to keep an eye on what is happening with both of these platforms as SpaceX converts them for Starship operations. But let me do this. Let's go around. Everybody that was sort of hanging out here, this was a big event. I know that the NASA spaceflight crew was very excited, and when we said, who wants to hop on for commentary, everybody's hand went up. Everybody showed up for this. So let me go around the horn and just say thank you to everyone really quickly, starting with Brady. Brady Kenniston is out there. We need to let Brady go and take some close-up photos of this. Brady, thank you so much for hopping on that plane. We really do appreciate you.
Thanks for sending me down here. It was kind of a blast. I want to do it again. Let's find some more things to go chase, and we'll see what we can do.
Absolutely. And y'all, Brady's first live stream operating a camera there. Done a ton of photography, done a ton of video, but this is the first time that we had him running one of the live feeds on one of our mobile encoders that we've done. So Brady, fantastic job there today. Not just traveling out and putting up with all that and then the day delay. We thought it was coming in yesterday. It came in today. But operating the live stream like a true pro. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Yas. Appreciate it.
All right. Also, special guest on the stream today, bringing the naval knowledge. Gav, how you doing? Thank you so much for stopping in.
Yeah, my pleasure. Follow me on Twitter. I'll be sure to keep an eye on this rig here. And if you check out the link in my bio, you can also see what ULA, Rocket Lab, and Blue Origin are also doing offshore as well.
Excellent. So Gav is in charge, creator, I'm not exactly sure how to say it, of SpaceXfleet.com. SpaceX Fleet on Twitter. You want to track the drone ships, you want to track the fairing catchers or capsule recovery. Gav is a fantastic follow.
I got Brady's up. Sorry, I was not paying attention. I was dealing with another issue, but there you go. There's Brady's Twitter handle as well on screen.
Excellent. I'm going to get Brady's link into chat really quickly.
Oh, I'm blasting it in there.
Thank you. Thank you. Nice, thank you. So make sure you're following. There's the link for Gavin on Twitter. Thank you, Patrick, one of the mods over there. There's the link to Brady's Twitter. You'll want to keep up with this stuff. You're on Twitter. Those are two fantastic follows. You will not be disappointed, especially if you want the freshest shots of Phobos. Not the moon of Mars, but the platform that just arrived at Pascagoula. Following those accounts there. So Brady's account for the photographs. Let's see here. Who else do we have in the list? I know that we had Thomas taking over for me a couple times there. Thomas, thank you so much. It's always good to have you on the stream.
Absolutely. Happy to be here, and thanks for tuning in for some rare Mississippi NASA spaceflight coverage. And we're glad that we were able to share everything we know about these two rigs, and we're excited to see how they'll fit into the Starship plans. So thanks for watching, everybody.
Excellent. And Thomas, you put together that article that we released that had all the information about the platform. So maybe one of the mods could grab that. There's your Twitter, TG Mets fan. Appreciate you, Patrick. Maybe grab a link to that article as well if you want to read all the details on how we were tracking these rigs. We have a fantastic article.
It's also the pinned item at the top of the chat there.
Aha! There you go. I actually didn't even know that because I always dismiss those to make room. But it's pinned up at the top of the chat. Jack, you're still stuck at South Padre. If there is anybody who needs a WinHop t-shirt, it's you.
It's true, isn't it?
But you live
like
at
Brady
South Padre
said,
now.
it's fun to hunt this kind of stuff. It's sort of addictive, so I'm not complaining. Everybody follow Brady on Twitter. He killed it. I'm putting his stuff in chat more.
He literally killed it. I'm not kidding.
He did. Like literally just killed it. It looks
that was Impeccable timing. There's back.
That's back.
That was not me. That was the camera doing something weird.
Sure. Sure.
Brief expected LOSs we did at handoff. I just made all that up. No, that's true. Anyways, Jack, thank you so much. Hopefully, when we get the hashtag WinHop happening, we will have you as one of the live stream cameras down there. Mary's down there, of course, the Boca Chica robots, but Jack has been running all over Tarnation. You've got a battery to carry out to that robot, I have to tell you.
Oh boy. Okay, yeah. Also, I meant to tell you. Speaking of, I feel like I'm a robot herder now. I know.
Yes.
I'll be quick. I'm sorry, Brady. I'll let you go. But I do feel like I herd robots, especially the day when I had to pull the rear case off of that one and install a new SD card. It felt like RoboCop. Like I'm like, okay, I got to take off the brain case. Be real careful. Don't bridge any leads with the screwdriver. It's wild. So yeah, I'll happily herd the NSF robots so that we can get more and more views. But yeah, everybody follow Brady on Twitter. Don't even click on my thing. Don't look at my thing. Follow Brady.
Well, I mean, Brady's done an absolutely fantastic job today. You're not even kidding about that, Jack.
Yep, thanks, Brady.
And Michael. Ah, yes, the purveyor of documents to keep track of all this stuff in the first place. Michael, thank you so much for all of the literally months of diligent effort to keep track of what was going on via the public documents and rigged sales and press releases from oil companies going out of business or declaring bankruptcy or whatever.
This did not come. We did not just like miraculously find out about this like 3 days ago. By the way,
Right.
We saw the SpaceX job listings mentioning a potential rig in Brownsville. I don't know when that was, like May or June or July, somewhere this past summer.
My first shots of Deimos are from August. To put that into perspective, we've been working this since well before August of last year.
Yeah, we've been, the minute we saw this job listings, we were looking, and of course hindsight is always 20/20. I think the actual documentation we needed was in the public domain a lot earlier than I realized. I just screwed that up, but I mean nobody else found it first, I guess. So we found it when we did, but in retrospect we could have, I think, broken this news story a lot sooner, but that's the way it goes.
Hey, that's all good. I think I did a tweet, Michael, saying that, a bunch of people questioning us, like, oh, there's an oil field called Mars and Deimos is a part of, oh, this is all speculation. Unfortunately, it's all wrong. And geez, we're just sitting here reading these things on Twitter like, yeah, okay, guys.
We went down that rabbit hole, by the way. We firmly ruled out any connection between this rig and the Shell Deimos, blah, 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 whatever it was.
Right. Yeah, no, our announcement foiled by a 5-minute Google search we didn't do before tweeting. Like, really? Come on. Anyways, Michael, thank you for all the work keeping track of this stuff and everything else you do to make sure these things keep going. But, folks, let's get Brady cut loose so we can get some more photos of this up close for NASA spaceflight. I'm John Galloway, the guy who talks probably way too much sometimes. But I have fun. I mean, this is fun. Whatever. We're watching an oil rig. There were 5,000 people watching an oil rig at some point. You got to do something to let everybody know what's going on and why we're so excited about this. But again, John Galloway for NASA Spaceflight. Team is going to go ahead and sign off here. Look for us tomorrow with Peter Beck of Rocket Lab on NSF Live, and then look for us early next week for the hashtag WinHop. As always, we appreciate everything y'all do to make these types of coverage possible. But for now, we will tell you later, nerds. Thanks a lot.
Pressure looks good. Doubling up. Roger, roll with Planet. Water towers fly! Flight downside of speed off. Off.
Yikes. You bet. Concur. We don't need any more of these.